The reality is organizations such as Hamas, ISIS were the same. They know um, the kind of West's limitation on war. So hospitals, schools, religious facilities are typically are protected unless they can be demonstrated to be absolutely legitimate military targets, i.e., the enemy, in this case Hamas, have turned them into a military installation. And that's a very difficult judgment. We had to do it in the counter ISIS campaign in Mosul, where we concluded that a hospital was no longer a functioning hospital. It was just now a military position, and we vexed over that for an extended period of time. And we've seen, Israel do this before, strike in hospitals where they have made the case that that hospital is now a legitimate military target, and that appears to be the case here. But of course, in a way, Israel's difficulty, not least because of the way they've chosen to mount this operation over the last 6+ months, it is the truth kind of gets lost in there somewhere because there's been so much destruction that they continue to struggle with the narrative and to get their case across. So even if, in the case of the Al Shifa hospital, it was a really precise military operation against a large hospital complex that is really a military target, they struggle to get their narrative across. Not least when you then link it to the second story you mentioned. So the death of 7 aid workers in what appears to be just a terrible accident, an error. The Israelis are saying, they're saying they're going to investigate it very carefully. It feels as though just an error has been made, and of course, it's one of the tragedies of war that good, honest, innocent people, aid workers, and others get killed in the margins of war.
Last night, an incident took place in Gaza that resulted in the tragic death of World Central Kitchen employees as they fulfilled their vital mission of bringing food to people in need. As a professional military committed to international law, we are committed to examining our operations thoroughly and transparently. I just spoke to WCK founder, Chef Jose Anders, and expressed the deepest condolences of Israel Defense Forces to the families and the entire World Central Kitchen family. We also express sincere sorrow to our allied nations who have been doing and continue to do so much to assist those in need. We have been reviewing the incident in the highest levels to understand the circumstances of what happened and how it happened. We will be opening a probe to examine this serious incident further. This will help us reduce the risk of such an event from occurring again. The incident will be investigated in the fact-finding and assessment mechanism, an independent professional and expert body.
לצערנו, ביממה האחרונה היה מקרה טרגי של פגיעה לא מכוונת של כוחותינו באנשים חפים מפשע ברצועת עזה. זה קורה במלחמה, אנחנו בודקים את זה עד תום, עומדים בקשר עם הממשלות ונעשה הכל כדי שהדבר הזה לא יישנה שוב.
For the last few months, the IDF has been working closely with the World Central Kitchen to assist them in fulfilling their noble mission of helping bring food and humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza. WCK also came to help Israelis after the massacre of October 7th. They were one of the first NGOs here. The work of WCK is critical. They are the front lines of humanity. We will get to the bottom of this and we will share our findings transparently.
Incredibly sad that has happened. Here's an organization that the Gazan people need desperately, aid agencies like that to help them, and those aid workers are there trying to only do good, and they get caught up in the fighting. In this case, have appeared to have paid with their lives. Very, very sad, and just really makes Israel's life so much harder, because every time they're trying to say, we're very careful with how we do things, vignettes like this play against them inevitably.
Shocked and saddened to hear the reported deaths of aid workers in Gaza. We're urgently working to confirm all the details, but my thoughts right now with their friends and family. They're doing fantastic work, bringing alleviation to the suffering that many are experiencing in Gaza. They should be praised and commended for what they're doing. They need to be allowed to do that work unhindered, and it's incumbent on Israel to make sure that they can do that. And we're asking Israel to investigate what happened urgently, because clearly there are questions that need to be answered. Our view is long-standing that Israel has both the intention and the ability to comply with international humanitarian law. I've made that very clear to Prime Minister Netanyahu. Whenever I've spoken to him, there have been too many civilian deaths in Gaza. Of course, we want to see an immediate humanitarian pause so that we can get the hostages out and more aid.
Aid workers and those doing humanitarian work, and indeed all innocent civilians, need to be provided with protection. Australia has had a very clear position of supporting a sustainable ceasefire, of calling for it for some period of time, of calling for humanitarian aid to go to the people of Gaza who are suffering from this deprivation, to make sure that hostages are released as well. The truth is that this is beyond any reasonable circumstances. Someone going about providing aid and humanitarian assistance should lose their life. And there were 4 aid workers as well as Palestinian driver in this vehicle. This is a human tragedy that should never have occurred, that is completely unacceptable. I didn't have the honour of knowing her, but the sort of values that are shown by someone going into a very dangerous place in order to assist mankind, their fellow humans, people who she didn't know, she just wanted to help out through this charity. It says everything about the character of this young woman. And so this is a tragedy, and my sincere condolences and that of the Australian government go to Zomi's family, to her friends and all who knew her.